Moving on to our next figure is going to be our party's thief, and now wizard because they've multi-classed. This is going to represent Matroth. So Matroth is actually a Kenku thief or Kenku rogue, but has multi-classed into wizard. Now I didn't have a good Kenku miniature to represent Matroth, so I chose this figure because it was the most thief-like or rogue-like that I had. And since it's not a Kenku, I'm going to paint it just as a humanoid, starting with just a good flesh skin tone, and we'll still give it a really good paint job. I'll find a way to bring in the Kenku kind of theme into the mini, probably on the cloak. But Matroth has been kind of one of the forefront of the party, going in and checking for traps and doing a little bit of burgling here and there. Actually stole a spellbook from a well-known wizard in the game, but due to the wizard's scrying spells was sussed out. So putting it on a handle to make it easier to go with. And while we're working on the face, working on something else, the boots are a nice easy piece because those leather tones on my palette I can keep separate from the flesh tones and have far enough distance between the two to let everything dry in between layers. But Matroth, being the Kenku, has done a couple of very interesting things in game. At one point they were being confronted by bandits and used the mimicry to call out ahead to bandits who are kind of laying in ambush that the coast was clear and for the bandits to come and assist. So they kind of caught the bandits off guard. It was a great RP moment and in-game moment. So you can see by the base, the player's favorite color is green. You'll see that a lot. We actually have in this party, a lot of the players' favorite colors were green. So I had to rotate it up, and this is a different base than I normally use, but still with the round, but green so that it's easily identifiable on the table. Again, I want the players to quickly and easily be able to locate their miniatures on the table so they can see where they're at in relation to enemies and other PCs when we're looking at kind of tactical maps, so they can plan what they're going to be doing. And going back in, doing the wash on the face, I'm going to be using a triad here of just a flesh triad on the face. And again, this is not an exact replica of the player, their character. Moving into the pants, so a lot of rogues you see all black, and I am going to change it up because the player's favorite color is green. I'm going to do all different greens, and we're going to make the rogue be a little less rogue-like. So it's not going to be dressed in all black because they have multi-classed into wizard. We'll still have that kind of darker tones to represent the rogue class that the character has, but I think just all black and different shades of black can be kind of boring. So we're going to use lots of greens on this miniature. You can see starting with the pants, kind of an olive green. I'm thinking very utilitarian wool, almost like military pants that this character will be wearing. And Matroth, now having multi-classed into wizard, is definitely an interesting character. The character can definitely utilize a lot of the rogue backgrounds with the sneak attacks and disengaging and hiding, and combo that with spells. So definitely a powerful class that the player has chosen. As a GM, you have to kind of watch how the players are building their characters so you can present a good challenge to them. And sometimes that's some of the fun. Going through and just redoing some of the base coats, picking out the highlight areas. And we'll go through and do the eyes while we're doing the face as well. You can see the miniature here. As I'm looking at it, I'm really starting to pay attention to the different layers of cloth and fabric. So this miniature could easily have bare arms underneath a almost like short sleeve tunic, but that doesn't really go well with the rogue archetype. So I'm not going to have bare arms and hands. It's going to be gloved hands and like an undershirt under the tunic vest. As we let everything kind of dry, just starting to pick out how I'm going to do some of the different layers. Thinking of different color aspects. Giving everything a time to dry. Trying to wrap my head around, again, how I'm going to incorporate different greens into the figure. Give it time to dry nice and evenly. As we go back through, and here we're going to start working on the eyes. Now I have not done the highlighting on the face yet because I've got my base tone, so if I mess up the eyes on this small mini, I can quickly go in and fix it just by painting over it with flesh. And for me, I paint from the left to the right. I'm always trying to pull to the right, so that's why I flip the mini up like that, so that I've got good even coverage on both the eye sockets. I do my eyes real plain. I start with just a black, opaque black over the entire eye area, and then once that's dry, I go in with an ivory white, and that ivory white will be the white of the eyes, and then I go in with a darker shade to put in the iris. I don't worry too much because these are such a small scale, and we're using them for tabletop, not display or competition. I don't worry about doing the iris and pupils different colors and shading and highlighting the pupils or the irises in different colors. I keep these very basic with just a dark pupil and iris all in one. So there's the white of the eyes. Actually, as I was looking at this one here, I thought, boy, that's kind of mean looking. I kind of like that. But my humanoid characters always get pupils, so just a real light touch of the tip of the brush and flip it over so we don't have them cross-eyed. Place that second one, and the hood here made that a little bit challenging. You can see some of the white and a little bit of the black going onto the hood. That'll be cleaned up when we paint the hood. But once I get that placed, I can bulk those out a little bit and give really good definition to the eyes so that it looks like they're looking in the same direction and they've got just bits of the white of their eyes showing. Always a challenge to do eyes, but the more you do it, the better you get. So keep practicing with your eyes if you're having troubles. Here I'm just doing a darker wash onto the pants. This is going to add shadow, get into the crevices and darken that kind of olive green up really well. And for those shaded areas, again, it's just going to lay in a lot of dark tones so that as we highlight up, we've got a darker base to work from. And once we get good coverage, that back leg with the cloak is also kind of hard to get on the inside, but we'll make it happen. And of course, as those layers are drying, we can go back to the face. And we want all of the paint to dry as much as possible, so moving back and forth between a couple of areas, if you're sitting down with just one mini, makes a lot of sense. So starting to work on highlights here, little bits in the forehead, but not much because of that hood over. So focusing more on the cheekbones and nose. And because we're using a thin paint and going really light, those dry a lot faster. So we're able to go through and continue to paint. And this video is sped up, so there's a bit of time in between the layers. It's not just slapping one on top of the other. So Matroth, as he is moving through the game world, is looking for more powerful magics and weapons and tools to use in his profession of dispatching enemies. The party is realizing that he has really no qualms about finishing out his enemies, leaving none to kind of come back after him from behind. And very much a out for himself, kind of utilizing every means necessary to better his position and power. And now we'll let that dry out and come back to it as we start continuing to work on Matroth. Just getting into final highlights on the face. Again, this character is actually a Kenku, but this was the most roguelike miniature I had at the time that the party was being formed. And again, I'm painting these miniatures for the players, not necessarily as their characters, but representative enough of their characters that they feel okay to use them at the game table. But these are just gifts for the players. So as long as I do a good paint job and the player feels like they can use it at the table or pop it in a display case in their home or use in a different game, I'm happy. This is just a way that I say thank you for taking the time to learn your character and show up for game night and engage with the other players and the game environment. It's a great way just to offer that thanks. Now with Matroth, again, because I don't want to go all blacks, I'm continuing to highlight the greens on the pants, and you'll see this actually gets pretty bright, pretty light colored as we highlight up. And I caution people to not be afraid of going light when you're working on miniatures. I don't think rogues have to be completely in black and hooded. Remember, this is for a fantasy game. We're playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and there's lots of magics that can be applied to characters, whether it's disguise self or glamorous armor. There are all different ways that rogues in your game can still be stealthy without just being in all black. So don't hesitate to play with colors and try different approaches to how you're painting your miniatures. Remember, they're not exact duplicates of the characters, just representations of them. So again, bringing the green, the player's favorite color, into the wardrobe, I think is going to be a great piece to really show off the figure, the sculpt, which is a beautiful sculpt. This is a Reaper miniature, as well as just tie in the player's colors into the miniature in a fun and exciting way. And just continuing on to keep painting Matroth, who, as the party has continued to move on, has really been good at finding ways to increase the party's wealth, coming up with ideas on some beast hunting and kind of navigating some of the opportunities that some of that has led to get enchantment on weapons and armor. Again, really driven out of their desire, out of Matroth's desire to gain power. But that will be our Matroth. We'll continue painting Matroth in our weekly series, starting with the face, which is of course the lowest part, and all the way out to the cloak. Overall, I think the sculpt is a really great sculpt. I love it for that rogue kind of archetype. Here for the boots, we're going to do them really simple. We put down just the leather brown. Now we're just doing a darker brown wash. That'll set in the shadows. Then we'll go back through, and once that's dry, we'll pick out the highlight parts with the base tone, and then introduce a khaki color. More next week. Thanks for checking out that video. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Also, if you don't mind getting the notifications, be sure to hit that bell so you can see when we're posting new content. Give us a thumbs up just so we can help reach new audience members. And leave a comment and let us know what you thought of this video, just so we can help create better content and better react to what you need. Additionally, here's another video we think you may enjoy. And, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe. And, of course, please be sure to let us know, where will your adventures take you?